The average DIY mechanic mistake costs $1,200 to fix. That's not my number. That's from CarMD's Vehicle Health Index. $1,200 because someone skipped one step or didn't know one thing. I'm going to run through 7 of the most common mistakes I see people make working on their own cars, what those mistakes actually cost when they go wrong, and how to avoid every single one of them. First one, jacking the car up wrong. And I don't just mean putting the jack in the wrong spot. I mean everything about how people lift their cars is dangerous. Most people know the jack goes on the pinch weld, that metal ridge running along the bottom of the car. What they don't know is that there are only 4 specific reinforced points on that ridge, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. You can find them in your owner's manual or just look under the car for the spots where the metal is thicker and sometimes notched. If you put your jack between those points, you're lifting on thin sheet metal. That metal bends, the jack slips, and now your car's on the ground with a crease in the body that'll cost you $500 in bodywork. But that's the cheap version. The dangerous version is when people jack up a truck or SUV and put the jack on a control arm or a leaf spring because they can't reach the frame. Control arms are angled. As the suspension extends while you're lifting, that angle changes and the jack walks right off. That's how people die in their driveways. I'm not being dramatic. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has records of fatalities from jacks slipping off suspension components. If you're getting under a car, use jack stands on the frame rails or designated support points every single time, no exceptions. Not, I'm just going to be under there for a second. A floor jack is for lifting. Jack stands are for holding, and if you're on gravel or a sloped driveway, don't even think about it. Flat, solid surface only. A set of Torn or Pittsburgh jack stands costs $20 to $40. That's cheap life insurance. And make sure you're buying jack stands rated for your vehicle's weight. A compact car like a Civic weighs around 3,000 pounds. A full-size truck like a Silverado or F-150 can weigh over 5,000. A pair of 2-ton jack stands technically holds 4,000 pounds combined, but you always want overhead. For trucks, get 3-ton stands minimum. And while you're at it, check that the locking mechanism actually clicks into the notch before you slide under. Give the car a good push from the side before you go underneath. If it moves, something isn't seated right. Second mistake, buying the wrong part. This sounds like a beginner problem, but it happens to experienced guys all the time. You go online or walk into AutoZone, punch in your year, make, and model, and the computer spits out a part number. You trust it, buy it, tear your car apart, and then the new part doesn't fit. The bolt holes are off by ½ an inch, the connector is different, or the part is physically bigger than the one you took out. This happens because parts catalogs are wrong more often than you'd think. A 2015 Honda CR-V might have 3 different engine options depending on the trim level and the market it was built for. The catalog might list the part for the base model when you've got the EXL with the 2.4. I've also seen people give the wrong year because their registration says 2016, but the car was actually manufactured in late 2015 and uses 2015 spec parts. The fix is simple. Before you buy anything, take the old part out first if you can, or at minimum, take a clear photo of it with your phone showing the mounting points, the connector, and any part numbers stamped on it. When you're at the parts counter, compare it visually to what they're selling you. And if you're buying online, cross-reference the OEM part number from your old part with what the listing shows. 5 minutes of checking saves you 2 trips to the parts store and a car sitting in your driveway torn apart, waiting for the right part to arrive. One more thing on this. If you're doing a job that involves multiple related parts, like a full brake job with rotors, pads, and hardware, order everything at once from the same source and verify it all fits together before you start taking things apart. There's nothing worse than having your calipers off, rotors swapped, and then realizing the pad set you bought is for the wrong generation of your Kia Sorento, because Kia changed the caliper bracket in the middle of a model year. Third mistake, cheaping out on the wrong parts. Being budget conscious is smart, but there are parts you can go cheap on, and parts where cheap will cost you way more in the long run. Windshield wipers, cabin air filters, exterior trim clips, go cheap all day. Those are disposable parts that are easy to replace if they fail. Where you absolutely cannot go cheap is on anything that touches your engine's timing, anything that seals fluids inside, and anything that's buried deep enough that the labor to replace it again is the real cost. A cheap timing belt kit might save you 40 bucks over the Gates or Continental OEM spec kit. But if that cheap belt snaps at 70,000 miles instead of 100,000, and you're driving an interference engine like the 1.8 in a Civic or the 2.0T in a Hyundai Sonata, the pistons hit the valves and you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 in engine damage, all to save 40 bucks. Same thing with water pumps, head gaskets, and anything in the cooling system. A cheap water pump with a plastic impeller fails, your engine overheats once, and now you've got a warped cylinder head. That's a machine shop job plus a head gasket set. Easily $1,500 on most four-cylinder engines. The rule is simple. If the part is hard to get to, or if its failure can damage something else, buy the OEM or OEM equivalent part. Brands like Denso, NGK, Gates, Asen, Moog, these are OEM suppliers that sell direct to consumers. You're getting the same part the factory installed without the dealer markup. And while we're talking about spending money wisely, let me mention scan tools. If you're going to work on your own car regularly, you need to own one. Not borrow your neighbor's, not drive to AutoZone every time a light comes on. Own one. A basic OBD2 scanner costs $20 to $50 and plugs into the port under your dash. But here's why the cheap ones aren't enough. The $5 code readers from Amazon give you a trouble code and nothing else. P0420 shows up and you think you need a catalytic converter. That's a $1,000 part. But if you had a scanner with live data, you could watch your oxygen sensor voltages in real time and see that it's actually a failing O2 sensor, which is an $80 part you can change in your driveway in 20 minutes. Live data is the difference between guessing and diagnosing. It lets you watch fuel trims, coolant temperature, misfire counts, and sensor readings while the engine is running. Something like a Blue Driver at 100 bucks or a Foxwell NT301 at 60 gives you live data, freeze frame data, and the ability to clear codes yourself. Without your own scanner, you're driving back and forth to the parts store for every step of the process. Scan the code, drive home, do the repair, drive back to clear the code, drive home, drive back again a week later to verify it didn't come back. That's an hour of driving and half a tank of gas for something that takes 30 seconds with your own tool. Fourth mistake, and this one gets people hurt: battery handling. Most DIY mechanics know they should disconnect the battery before working on electrical components. What a lot of them don't know is which terminal to disconnect first. They grab the positive terminal because that's where the power is, right? Wrong move. Here's why. The negative terminal of your battery is connected to the car's body and frame. The entire car is the negative side of the circuit. So if you're removing the positive terminal first and your wrench touches any metal surface on the car, you just completed the circuit. You'll get a shower of sparks, the wrench will heat up instantly, and you can actually weld the wrench to the terminal. In a worst case scenario, the heat ignites hydrogen gas that batteries produce during charging, and the battery explodes. Sulfuric acid in your face. Always disconnect the negative terminal first. Once that's off, the circuit is broken, and you can safely handle the positive side without risk. When reconnecting, reverse the order. Positive first, then negative. The other battery mistake I see constantly is people not seating the clamps properly. Battery posts are tapered, they're wider at the base and narrower at the top. If you just slide the clamp on and tighten it at the top of the post, it feels snug, but it's actually loose. Over time, it vibrates free, your car gets intermittent electrical problems, the engine cranks slow, your dash lights flicker, and you end up at a shop paying someone $100 in diagnostic time to tell you your battery clamp was loose. Push the clamp all the way down to the base of the post, then tighten it. 10 seconds of extra effort. Fifth mistake, skipping the alignment after suspension work. This is the one that silently costs people the most money because the damage is gradual. You replace your outer tie rods on your 2018 F-150. Easy job, couple hours in the driveway, 40 bucks in parts. But you don't get an alignment afterwards because it drives fine, and you figure you got the tie rods back to roughly the same position. Here's what's actually happening. Your toe angle, the direction your tires are pointed relative to straight ahead, is now off by even a fraction of a degree. You can't feel it at first, but that fraction of a degree means your tires are scrubbing sideways against the pavement with every mile you drive. Within 3,000 miles, you've worn the inside edges of both front tires down to the wear bars. A set of tires on an F-150 costs $600 to $1,000 depending on the brand. and alignment costs $60 to $80. You saved $80 and it cost you $1,000. Anytime you replace tie rod ends, inner or outer, control arms, ball joints, or struts, you need an alignment. There's no exception to this. Some people try to mark the position of the old part before they remove it, and that can get you close enough to drive to the alignment shop without destroying your tires on the way there. But close enough is not good enough for long-term wear. Get the alignment done within a few days of the repair. Most tire shops like Discount Tire or Firestone charge $60 to $80 for a front alignment and around $100 for a four-wheel. Some places offer lifetime alignment packages for $150, which pays for itself after 2 visits. If you're doing your own suspension work regularly, that's the smartest money you can spend. Sixth mistake, over-tightening and under-tightening fasteners. Almost every engine on the road today has an aluminum cylinder head. Aluminum is softer than steel. The bolts and studs going into that aluminum are steel. Do the math. If you over-tighten a valve cover bolt, you strip the threads right out of the aluminum head. Now, instead of a simple valve cover gasket job that takes an hour, you're pulling the head off to install a helicoil thread repair, or worse, you've snapped a bolt off flush with the surface and you need to drill it out. If that bolt breaks in a spot you can't reach with the head on the car, you're pulling the engine. I've seen a snapped valve cover bolt turn into a $3,000 repair because the engine had to come out to drill it. The oil drain plug is another classic. People over-tighten it every oil change because they're scared of leaks. After a few oil changes, the threads in the pan are toast. An oil pan replacement on something like a Chevy Traverse or a Subaru Outback can run $300 to $600 in parts and labor because the exhaust and subframe have to come down to access it. All because someone used a 12-inch breaker bar on a drain plug that only needs about 20 foot-pounds of torque. My rule is snug plus a quarter turn on small fasteners. If you're not confident in what snug feels like, a torque wrench costs $25 at Harbor Freight, worth every penny. And while we're at it, the opposite problem is just as real. People who under-tighten things because they're afraid of stripping threads end up with leaking valve covers, weeping oil filter housings, and coolant drips from thermostat housings. There's a spec for every fastener on your car. You don't have to memorize them, but you do need a torque wrench and the willingness to look up the number for whatever you're tightening. And cross-threading, that's the third fastener sin. Lug nuts are the classic example. You start a lug nut slightly crooked on the stud, then hit it with an impact gun, and you've just destroyed both the stud and the nut. The stud shears off inside the lug nut, and now you've got to pull the wheel, the caliper, and the rotor just to press out the broken stud and install a new one. On most cars, that's $100 to $200 at a shop for something that takes 10 seconds to prevent. Always hand start every fastener first. If it doesn't spin freely by hand for at least a few turns, it's not going in straight. Back it out and try again. This goes for spark plugs too. Cross-threading a spark plug into an aluminum cylinder head strips the threads in the head, and now you're looking at a helicoil or time-cert repair that can run $1,000 if the head has to come off. A plug should thread in by hand with zero resistance for the first several turns. If it's fighting you, stop. Seventh mistake, using the wrong fluids. This is the one that causes the most expensive damage with the least effort. You're topping off your coolant and you grab whatever jug is on the shelf at Walmart because coolant is coolant, right? Wrong. There are 3 main types of engine coolant: IAT, which is the traditional green stuff; OAT, which is usually orange or red, and that's what GM uses as Dexcool; and HOAT, which is a hybrid, usually yellow or pink, common in European and Asian cars. These are not interchangeable. If you pour green IAT coolant into a system that runs orange OAT coolant, the 2 chemistries react and form a thick gel that clogs your radiator, your heater core, and your water pump. Your engine overheats because the coolant can't circulate, and now you're looking at a radiator replacement, a heater core replacement, a full system flush, and potentially a warped head if it overheated badly enough. All of that can easily run $2,000 to $3,000 on a modern car. The fix is dead simple. Open your owner's manual. It tells you exactly which coolant spec to use. On a 2020 Silverado, it's Dexcool, which is OAT. On a 2019 Camry, it's Toyota Super Long Life Coolant, which is a pink HOAT. On a 2021 F-150, it's Motorcraft Orange, also OAT. Don't go by color alone because some manufacturers use the same color for different formulas. Go by the spec, printed on the jug and match it to what your manual says. Same principle applies to every fluid in your car. Transmission fluid, brake fluid, power steering fluid, they all have specific specs. Your 2020 Ram 1500 uses ATF plus 4 transmission fluid. You can't just pour in Dex Vi from the GM shelf because it's also red and looks the same. Different chemistry, different friction modifiers, and putting the wrong one in can cause harsh shifting, slipping, and eventually burn out your transmission. A transmission replacement on a Ram runs $4,000 to $6,000, all because someone grabbed the wrong red bottle. And this isn't limited to the big fluids. Brake fluid has DOT ratings. Most modern cars use DOT 4. Some older vehicles use DOT 3. DOT 5 is silicone-based and is completely incompatible with DOT 3 or 4 systems. Pouring DOT 5 into a DOT 4 system destroys every rubber seal in your brake system because silicone fluid attacks conventional brake rubber. New calipers, new wheel cylinders, new master cylinder, new lines. You just turned a $4 bottle of brake fluid into a $2,000 brake system rebuild. Those are the 7. Every single one of them is avoidable with a little knowledge and a few extra minutes of attention. A torque wrench, the right fluids, a set of jack stands, and the patience to verify a part before you buy it. That's all it takes to save yourself from a $1,200 mistake. The whole point of doing your own work is to save money. Don't let a shortcut turn your savings into a repair bill 3 times what a shop would have charged you to do it right.